It is round 2 of the ATK Pro Series, and we are at Spa-Francorchamps today. And what an exciting day it proves to be. For the first time, drivers will have to deal with a little something called ballast. But we'll talk more about that later. For now, let's start with the introductions. My name is Ernest Page, and this is the ATK Pro Series, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. South Africa partnered with the Kyalami 9-hour, yes, the official Kyalami 9-hour event, and of course Motorsport South Africa also giving their stamp of approval to the ATK Pro Series. Now, this is round 2 of this year's championship, and today we will see a 15-minute qualifier followed by a 50-minute main race. Now, many different cars on the circuit today and many different drivers that will be taking part today, and we'll get to that in a moment. But first, let me introduce my partner in crime today, of course, Marius Roberts. Welcome to the virtual commentary booth.
Oh, it's going to be boring. I mean, what a terrible track to go racing at Spa. The drivers absolutely hate it. It's not challenging. It's boring. Now, obviously, I'm speaking nonsense. I mean, Spa is probably, alongside the Nordschleife, the most famous racetrack in the world, and for damn good reason. And I know, as good as simulations have become, nothing can quite give you that real sense of the elevation changes on tracks like Spa and the Nordschleife. And I love it when I see the weather conditions being pretty realistic for what drivers would normally find at the track. It's cold, chance of rain, but what a technical track. And you know, you mentioned a 15-minute qualifying session. I think luckily they've got the quick eject button, because with a long track like this, you make one little mistake and that essentially could be your qualifying done. So the drivers do have the benefit, obviously, they can get back to the pits pretty quickly, but it's a really tricky track to link everything together and put that perfect lap together. But like you said, success ballast for the first time, so I'm very interested to see how that's going to work. And crucial again, we must remind people that obviously we now have compulsory pit stops, and I know we had a lot of different strategies happening in our first round in Imola. You've got a very, very long pit entry and exit at Spa, so it'll be interesting to see how the guys come to terms with dealing with the pit stop strategies as well.
Yeah, today's pit stop strategies are going to be critical, and I was just having a look at the Pro-Am race that just completed minutes ago. And pit strategy came into play there. So I think we're going to be seeing the same here in the Pro Division today. And another thing, Marius, the pit lane entrance and exit at Spa is, as far as I know, one of the longest in the world. And so Marius, you were talking about the pit lane there a second ago. Just had some technical difficulties, but that seemed to be sorted out now. So as you were saying.
Yeah, Ernest, you spot on. It is the longest, and I know we were trying to work out how the strategy will work. In Formula One, obviously it's a carefully calculated. They know exactly what their downtime is going to be. They know they're going to be 2 seconds stationary, but how long is the pit lane and what is that time? Is it going to cost them 30 seconds? So I'm sure the guys are starting to try and work that out here, and they would have run simulations to try and figure that out. But it is super long, because you've got the old F1 pits up at the top as you come out of the bus stop chicane, but then the GT3 pit is a new one that's been built as you go down Eau Rouge. So it is a super, super long travel through the pit lane. But it's just, man, I just love a track like this, because it is just, there's plenty of opportunity for overtaking with the long Kemmel Straight. And from a driving perspective, you've just got to be on it, because you have no chance to take a breather, because the track just never lets you out. You know what I mean? It's like every corner is a challenge in itself. And what I remember when we went racing here last year is that if you are patient as a driver, you can actually hang on the outside through the combination of corners, because you're going to be disadvantaged, advantaged, disadvantaged, and you can line up those moves over the course of 3 or 4 corners on the back section of the track. And what we saw at Imola is the drivers put on a fantastic display of professionalism in terms of getting used to sharing space on the track. We didn't have many incidents to comment on, so I'm hoping we're going to see more of that here, where the guys actually do go door to door over a section of a sequence of corners. It should be one of our best races, I think.
I think so, and certainly the professionalism's coming through. And like you said, to be able to string a sequence of corners together, that is really the holy grail of high performance driving, and you know, the top of the food chain. And speaking of top of the food chain, last race winner Jordan Sherritt gets 80 kilogram ballast for this race now, for being at the top of the food chain. And I think he's the kind of guy that we're going to see stringing those kind of corners together if they do get into a tussle. But tussle there will most certainly be, because if anybody's going to have anything to say about it, it's going to be the McCall brothers, who finished second and third, Junior and Morgan respectively, at the last race. So this is going to be one of those races where hopefully we get to see some of the guys display a high level of skill and professionalism.
I think you're going to have an outsider come through and win today. That's my gut feel. I think somebody that finished outside of the success ballast positions and are running with a clean car. And if that is the case, then this is going to work perfectly for our 6-round season, because it is going to kind of see us shifting things. So what is important is for guys like Junior, Morgan and Jordan to be consistent and get a good result now that they are carrying the ballast. They would have run simulations, but nothing prepares you for what happens in race trim. So the pit stop's going to be crucial, because I think there might be, I know it's cold, so that's good for the tires, but carrying that extra 80 kgs is going to put a lot of pressure on your tires, on your brakes, all of those type of elements. Luckily, the nature of this track is fast and flowing, but those G-forces are now amplified because you've basically strapped another passenger in. So expect to see, I think, some real struggles for those guys, because 80 kilograms is a lot. And like Jonathan explained to us, they had to make it significant, because being a simulator, you don't feed it like you would in the real world in a real car. So 80 kgs is the magic mark. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how this pans out.
Sure, it goes down from 80 Ks for first, 60, 50, and down in fourth and fifth position, Charles and Jason Abschmeyer both get 40 and 30 kilos for their troubles. We've got the Pro Division on the screen at the moment. This is what it looks like right now before qualifying. These are the names of the guys for the Pro Division. And again, we've got a couple of names there that might seem a bit new to certain people, but that's awesome to see. I mean, it's awesome to see new names at the top of the rankings, but it's also awesome to see new names competing and taking part.
Well, that's what's also cool, because something we haven't spoken about is obviously that we do have elimination. So, based on the qualifying in the first race at Imola, we've got people that are moving up and moving down. So that for me is awesome. It's not based on your race results, because like we've spoken about it, things can happen in the race. You can be taken out and that it sees you being dropped down to Pro-Am. So this is cool, because we've mentioned it before. It keeps the guys that kind of are our household names in the Pro Division. It keeps them honest, and it keeps the guys in Pro-Am super hungry and committed, and it turns qualifying into something really significant now, because a lot of guys might think, qualifying at this track might not be that important, we work on our race pace, but you got to make sure in the qualifying that you're not sitting in the bottom, because that's going to drop you down into Pro-Am for the next round. So I love the way ATK have put this together. I think they've learned a lot from what we did last year, and we've got a super intense series running this year.
Yeah, I definitely think super intense. I mean, going through the names here, I'm just going to shine a light on one or two of the guys. We've got Cameron De Bastos over there in the number 14 car, driving a Lamborghini this season. And he's only 21 years old, driving for Meraki Motorsport. Isn't your Port Elizabeth friend also with Meraki?
Yeah, well, they're both running Lambos. Elder Bellingham over there, I think the two of them are teammates. So nice to have another Lambo in there. I don't know Cameron at all, so this is a new name for me. And that is what you said, some new guys that have come through.
Yeah.
A lot of the usual suspects. Interesting to see how it all pans out as well at the end of the day. But a guy like Victor de Kock, don't know too much about him. Brian Lewis, for me, was somebody that we spoke about last in the first round. Some nice pairings. Obviously, Daniel Rowe, I think, is someone that we really should look out for, because he is running with no ballast, so he'll be super stoked. So he's one of those guys that timed it perfectly, finished, I think, 7th in the first round in Imola. So I think this will be a race that we should really watch for him. I didn't have a chance to have a chat to the guys in terms of cars and what cars should work well here, but I know the Bentley they felt was pretty consistent around all the tracks, and they've been doing a lot of development on it. So yeah, again, I mean, look through that list. How many Porsches do you see? One.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Not
Benjamin
many.
Lodger.
Not many.
Yeah.
Things really are mixed up. I mean, just looking back at the results of the Pro-Am earlier on, Jason Gray won in a Ferrari, which is the first time we've seen a Ferrari win, I think, in any round. So they are starting to mix up. But one of the drivers you mentioned now was Daniel Rowe, down there in 8th position in the Bentley, a VW Motorsport South Africa professional race car driver in the mix here in 8th position with everything to play for and absolutely no ballast. And like you said, Marius, that is an exciting prospect, because this is why I love watching racing where there is a ballast, taking part in racing where there is a ballast system, because you get to see this kind of thing happen. And Jordan shared it. He's not going to have it all his way, even with those 102 points, 5 points lead over Junior McCall at the moment. He's not going to have it all his way today, I don't think.
Well, it was interesting because I popped past Swartkorps on Friday, and Daniel and Keegan and the boys were having a run in their GTC cars. So, they are sharp in real racing, and they're very, very busy in the sim community as well, racing, I think, in the world champs as well. So they are putting in a lot of time in both seats, virtual and real. So that is what we started to seeing a lot more coming through with the guys. There's proper racecraft that's been developed, and I think that for me was a standout in that first round. It was some of the best racing we've seen, where in season one guys were kind of falling over each other in those door-to-door situations. They had it figured out in Imola, so that for me was great. And this is a sort of track where you really do get a lot of chance to go door-to-door with that long straight. It's going to be great opportunities for overtaking, and then some super committed corners as well. So I think we're going to see a lot of interesting racing, and then I'm gonna stick my head out. I don't think it's going to be the usual suspects finishing 1, 2, and 3.
I hope so. And with that, we're going to be moving straight into qualifying right after this commercial break. We'll see you guys in a couple of moments. As we go straight into qualifying, it is with great pleasure we look at Daniel Rowe in the Bentley through Eau Rouge. I'm sure he must be loving that moment right there. I mean, that is him living what I'm sure is one of his real life racing fantasies. And we were talking about him having experience earlier on, but someone that has no experience here in real world racing is Leslie Oliphant, but still someone, the 36-year-old from Durban, is still an absolute ace behind the wheel. So, we're going to have this battle here where we're going to see how guys like Daniel Rowe do against guys that have absolutely no experience, as we see him go through the right-hander down the hill now. And this is such a tricky section here. They're going to watch the front of the car to make sure that the understeer is not too bad. Keep it tucked in tight over here. Go over to the left. Stay slightly mid-track there, and then all the way down the sweep. And then, of course, right at the bottom of the hill is one of the most iconic and dangerous corners in motorsport.
Look, that little combination of corners we looked at there now, that for me is what I was talking about, where we saw that last year, where the guys can actually stick together, go side by side through that. There's enough space to go door to door, and that is where the commitment comes, because if you don't get the pass down in the Kimmel Straight, you've got this little super tube section, I call it, as it sucks you downhill. And you were right, Ernest, a couple of key break points here where it's very easy just to, under pressure, try and go an extra 10 meters in and lock up the front end, run a little bit wide. So those are sort of things that we're going to see, but something we don't expect to see from a guy like Daniel Rowe, who knows his way around Spa. I'm sure he would have done plenty of laps here, and I think it's a circuit that for a driver like him, absolutely rewarding. Will super be keen to have a good result here as well. But as you said, those are super committed sections there, and then we come to obviously one of the slowest corners on the track. Heavy braking for the bus stop, another great overtaking opportunity as well. So we've got just under 10 minutes to go. Be interesting to see how these times play out. A lot of guys, and we know when I say a lot of guys, Jordan Sherrod being the key guy, loves to put a lap like right at the end and smash it. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of lap time he can do do with that success ballast as well. But yeah, still a long time to go in this qualifying session, and we've got a Ferrari sitting up at the top. You said we had a winner in terms of Jason Gray in the Pro-Ams in a Ferrari, so could this be Ferrari's circuit? It's nowhere near to Italy, but they'll be happy to take a win wherever they can.
Yeah, wherever they can indeed. A win is a win, as they say. And speaking of winning, Jordan Sherritt now on camera at the moment, your previous race winner, running with a full 80 kilograms. I can't believe it. That's a lot of weight. Jordan Sherritt in the Mercedes-Benz now, currently on a out lap. So he's still got to start his actual hot lap, but I mean corner to corner as he goes through the left-hand sweep there. And the downforce and the G's that the drivers feel through the corner in the real world is just insane. Jordan Sherritt slowing down there, now letting some traffic go by. That looked like Noor Hendricks over there. And now he's going to line things up as he makes his way through the final chicane. Really slow here. I mean, just the way he's doing, he's not getting speed at all at the moment. And now the power goes down and across the line he goes. This will be the start of Jordan Sherritt's first lap. And certainly we're now going to, well, not his first lap, but his first fast lap. And now we're going to see if he can better that 13th position. Currently running in 13th at a time of 2 minutes 17. Jason Abschmeyer now on camera, also in the Mercedes-Benz. And Jason Abschmeyer, as I said, really one of the more talented guys in this field over here, with not much real-world racing experience either. But I think you have some history with Jason Abschmeyer, Marius.
Yeah, we do. I mean, first thing I noticed, they're running different livery as well, which is pretty cool. So thank you very much for keeping Ernest and myself guessing as we get familiar with the car. It's like not only are most of the guys driving in different vehicles this year, but they're changing livery from round to round. But,
good times.
Yeah,
good times.
Jason is super good in a real car too. I mean, we had him on my TV show years ago called Speed Stars, where it was like celebs versus, the average man on the street.
And he won that thing, didn't he?
Yeah, he went on to win it. And the deciding race, we had the top 12 guys in a battle around Zwartkops in the rain, and had it started like reverse grid, and the guys were given like set gaps, and in the rain he came through and won it. Super composed. Guys were spinning off everywhere. They were actually racing in polos. It was so good to watch, and he was cool and calm, and we've seen that through last year's racing as well. He doesn't really flinch when he's put under pressure, and that's going to be crucial in a race like this. There is going to be people coming up to overtake you, and it's he can make that car pretty wide. So he's definitely someone to look out for. Obviously running with a bit of weight after the first round in Imola. But I'm quite keen to see what's happened with Jordan from a lap time perspective, because by calculations, apparently it's meant to add like a second, the 80 kilograms, to his lap time. But what we know is in Imola, he was like a second quicker than anybody in qualifying. So it could end up being that he now literally is going to be fighting still for a top spot. So very keen to see how this pans out.
Jordan Sherritt currently on pace to match his time, 2:17.589. I don't think he's going to be going any faster than that at the moment, almost exactly on the money, and that still leaves him in 16th position. This is not a familiar position for the young Jordan Sherritt, I'm sure. Down in 16th position. Is he playing possum?
No, I think that's it. So this for me is well done, because now we know the ballast, I think, really is working. And what is so cool, when you said not a position we're used to seeing Jordan in, now that for me is great, because we've seen it in Formula One as well. The guys that are used to starting at the front, they actually have pretty easy races. The minute you dump them into the mid-pack, suddenly they don't have the track to themselves. They're involved in dogfights. They lose their rhythm. They can't get into that rhythm that is so crucial.
That's a different set of skills. That's a different set of skills.
Totally. And rhythm at a circuit like this is crucial. So that is what I love, because it totally has mixed things up. You've got Arno Fasaki and McLaren sitting at the top of the pile.
Currently half a second faster than his best day. 4/10 of a second up at the moment.
Wow, that's awesome. And we know, I mean, we loved the McLaren last year. I love McLaren in the real world, proper cars. So it's good to see there's some good pace out of there. You have a look there. Tariq is also running in a McLaren. He's sitting in 4th. Bashir has just gone quickest now. That's an awesome time. 0.1 quicker than Arno. Bashir obviously switching from Porsche last season into Mercedes-Benz this year, and looking like he's loving it.
It's so nice to see Bash right at the top where he belongs. I mean, one of the most talented guys, one of the guys from way back. I raced against him years ago. And Anna Fasaki at the moment is going to give it to our man Bash over there. 0.3 of a second up is Anna Fasaki. This is going to take him into first position. We haven't seen him so high up the table yet. Still 0.3 of a second left. He's got to get this last corner right. No mistakes allowed. So far, even more. 0.5 of a second. 4. Going once, going twice. Anna Fasaki stays in second. Why? Because Grobler's now
in the Ferrari. I absolutely love it. I mean, we get excited about names we're not normally talking about at the sharp end of qualifying. Obviously, Bashir being an exception. But have a look at the guys: Morgan McCall, Junior McCall, Charles Wilkin. All the guys are running Success Ballast. Where they're sitting: 14th, 16th, 17th, 18th. So yeah, it's going to be interesting seeing them. And what is crucial now in their minds, I hope they've come in here knowing that, listen, this is where we could be. So what we've got to do in the race now is forget about the qualifying and concentrate on being consistent, staying out of trouble and scoring points, because round 3, some other people are going to be running with a weight and we're going to be running lean again. So it's really going to turn this into a grandstand finish, I think. So I'm super excited. Well done to the guys at ATK for coming up with these changes. But no, it's awesome, man, because I know at the end of the season, we're going to crown a guy that is a bloody good driver because he's had to deal with Success Ballast. He's had to race mid-pack as a result of it. So the guy that gets crowned champion at the end is going to be very, very deserving.
Yeah, Lewis now in 7th position in the Mercedes-Benz, 1.5 seconds up on his best time. So he's done a 2:16.8. If he beats this time, he will be a new pole sitter. And I'm getting excited because I get to say some new names. This is quite refreshing, isn't it?
Listen, but that is exactly what motor racing is about. I mean, these guys are the pros in South Africa. They're the top flighted guys. And a lot of the time, like I said earlier, we get caught up commentating on what's happening at the front of the field, and these guys are having massive battles. And you know, Daniel, our director, does a great job bringing action from throughout the field, but it's just nice to have these guys racing at the top. And what's crucial, they know they've got to score maximum points today because they're not running with ballast, and now is the perfect opportunity for them to win. Don't worry about the fact that means they'll be running heavy at the next round, but this is a great opportunity for them to maximize their points as well. And it's damage limitation for our top 6 or 7 from last week or 2 weeks ago.
B. Lewis, the man we got cameras on at the moment. I mentioned earlier on he's up on his time. He is up on his time, but he's still running he's got a penalty on his lap, basically. So he needs to cross the line now. He's got 5 seconds to do so. If he doesn't, then our standings will stay as is, and he doesn't do it. So I don't think he's got enough time to potentially finish a lap. We're going to have to wait and see if they allow him to. No, he doesn't. So our standings are going to look like this. Can you believe it? We've got Jay Grobler on top, Anna Fasaki in second, Bashir Jarbot at the top, near the top, 3rd position. I'm happy with that. What a qualifying so far. I wonder if any drivers are in the green at the moment. I'm going through the list here to try and check. But so far, we've got nobody up in the green. 4th place man over there is up. That is Adam, T. Adam, another new name.
Tariq, he's actually teammates with Daniel Rowe. Interesting, we spoke about it last time as well, running the McLaren versus Daniel in the Bentley. So when they get to that midway point where they decide if they want to change their car or keep it, it'll be nice having some input, knowing how well the McLaren is run. But have a look at that. McLaren in 2nd, 4th and 5th, so obviously a really good car around here. Nice little split, but for me, awesome having a Ferrari at the top in qualifying. This is awesome.
Tariq Adam in that McLaren, as you say, making his way to the finish line. If we can eyes on him before we jump back to Daniel, just to have a look there. And Tariq goes up to 3rd place. Tariq Adam goes up to 3rd place. So there you have it, Marius. Things are shaking up. Things are shaking up big time. And Daniel Rose still basically doing the same time he did earlier on. Marius, I know.
I'm
excited, man.
I'm just having a look now. Have a look. So Jordan in 20th, Morgan McCall 18th, Junior 17th, Charles Wilkin 15th, Jason Abschmeyer. I mean, have a look. So these guys are really going to be looking down the pit lane and kind of going in the grid, going, I've never had so many cars in front of me. You know, Jordan's used to seeing a clear track, so it's going to be awesome.
I'm a little shocked. I'm legit like taken aback here because this is not what I see today, but I'm going to take a moment, guys, and I think we all should before the race starts. Let's go to ads, and we'll see you guys after this. Well, Jordan shed it all the way down the field in 20 position there, 20th position. Just posted something on the live stream saying, in his words, and I quote, ballast sucks. So,
but Ernest, you and I were talking during that break and saying, yeah, but I mean, we know it works because you have a look, 20th, and I've mentioned again, Morgan McCall 18th, 17th junior. These are all guys that were our top 3 at Imola, and look at where they find themselves now. And what I was saying, quick calculation, they're like a second off the pace. So essentially in a 50-minute race, they are losing a second a lap. So they would be stoked if they could find themselves at the end of the race, maybe in 15th position, trying to score some points. That is kind of their mindset now. Crucial, don't get involved in mid-pack chaos. Don't trip over other guys. Let them go, and you just run your race and try and score as many points as you can, because there's no ways. I think even with clever tyre strategy, it's not going to make any difference to them because they can't go any quicker.
Sure. Speaking of someone that can go quicker is JC Grobler, the 31-year-old from the Western Cape, in the Ferrari all the way up front. And that feeling, man, that feeling when you're one of the guys that's been, pretty quick, and now all of a sudden you've got a rearview mirror full of the fastest drivers in the country right behind you and a clear piece of track in front of you. Which of those two things does he focus on? Which of those two things does he take with him into the first couple of quarters?
Well, what would be cool is also we forget it's something that they don't know. They don't know how to lead out a race. I mean, I've been in that situation in the real world where suddenly, you've got to manage the rolling start. It's like, okay, now what? And it's like we've seen it happen in a Assetto Corsa where you've got that little grid box that you've got to find yourself in. So he's got to be aware of that, because he doesn't want to be sitting too far in his box, because he could end up losing first position before we even start, and we know that the start position is halfway down Eau Rouge. So that for me is, you've just got to focus on making sure you are the first car to go into that section and come out of the other side of Radion down the Kimmel straight in front. That is his focus now. Don't even look in the mirrors. Don't worry about what's happening around you. This is your race, and he must muck around. He must do what he's doing now. Warm up the tires, start setting the pace. It's his race.
Yeah, it's his race indeed, but not if Arne Versace or Tariq Adam will have anything to say about it. And another driver that's in the mix, Bashir Jadwat, and these are top 4 guys so far. Bruno Cadile in the top 5. Welcome back, Bruno.
Yeah.
And these are the guys in only our top 5, and some of our big name guys. And I know this happens. I know that as a commentator, we sometimes speak about the same guys over and over. Maybe we can't help it that the same guys win sometimes, okay? Jordan Sheddet's won a few times, so obviously I'm going to talk about him a lot.
Yeah.
It's so nice to now see that you've got this battle that's going to unfold at the back, in the mid-pack, and still quality guys at the front of the field. And that's what's happened over the last year. Our guys, the quality of our field has increased over time.
Yeah. But that is crucial. I mean, we saw that last year. It was some of the lovely stories that came out of it. Guys like Noah Hendricks, who developed where they were running pro-ams, and by the end of the season found themselves in pros. So we really are schooling them, because the guys that they're getting to race with are guys that have had massive experience. So a lot of guys, for them, they actually enjoyed going to pro-am where there was a little less pressure and they could focus on building their racecraft, that when they did take the step up to pros, they were ready to go. And that for me is what is amazing about the series, is that you now are not seeing a bunch of guys there are a couple of that are good and the rest, not so much. The pro-am guys are up there hungry to get into the pro division. So you've got 30 odd guys lined up ready to go that are all super competitive, and you look at the times they run, really, really close as well. But for me, I just love the fact that we've got a new leaderboard, basically, because our normal suspects are all down mid-pack. So this is where it gets interesting for JC Grobler. That's what I meant earlier. Now you must forget about Arno putting him under massive pressure. He sets the pace. He starts this race. No one can go before him. So interesting to see if he can get all these pre-race nerves in control, get the butterflies flying in formation as the drivers get into formation behind him. We're about to go racing round 2 at Spa. Cannot wait.
Here we go into the last complex before the main straight across the start-finish line. You've got Grobler in pole, Versace in second, Tariq Adam in third, Bashir Jadwat in 4th. The race is about to start as they make their way down. The drivers lining up all the way down in 20th is Jordan Sheddet. The light's about to go out. Anything can happen in motorsport, and it usually does. Will today be the case? Ooh, this is taking some time.
Remember, they start on Eau Rouge. So this is the Formula One start position, but they actually take the what is traditionally turn one. So this is also cool because it takes out a lot of incidents in turn one, notoriously on a start. So now they'll get ready for race action. Here we go.
I should have actually checked that out, and now I'm going to have to build that energy up again, but don't worry about it, folks. We're going to do it one more time. We're going to do it again. Jordan Shedder to the back, getting into all sorts of trouble. They're trying to keep his nose clean right now. I've got camera on him as well, but the people to watch it right now, JC Grobler in front, Arno Versaghi, Tariq Adam in third position, Bashir Jadwat in fourth. Here we go. Lights about to go down the hill. We are racing. No incidents to speak of so far. Through Eau Rouge they go. And so far, so clean for all drivers. No incidents so far. I cannot believe they made it through there. So far,
I love it. And I mean, for me, Arno taking a little bit of a direct line through Radion. And that for me is crucial because, you know, we want to make sure everyone gets done there, but that's proper commitment going through the most famous set of corners here with Eau Rouge and Radio, and someone running very wide there. That's Rick Adam, as we see who's that passing him around the outside there. So this is interesting. Look at the mid-pack shifting of positions already, and that is what we wanted to see. But JC's done it. You know, he's been committed. He's put his car in the right place, and he's still leading. So that was well done. A lot of pressure.
JC Grobler getting a lot of pressure now from Arno Versaghi. Arno Versaghi right tucked up behind him on the downhill there in second position. Arno's having a look down the inside. Further back, some more action happening here with T. Adam in third place, having a look at it all. We're now on board with Tariq Adam in third position.
I think he's dropped back. I think he's down to fifth. So it looks. Yeah, he's dropped back. So Bashir is up into fourth. I'm trying to see who got the whole shot. Who's in that red car? That is Bruno Cadile. So Bruno has actually got a cracker start in one of the other McLarens. So he's now running what it looks like in third position and putting a lot of pressure on Arno Versaghi, who at this point for me looks like he feels he's quicker than JC out front. But this is cool because it's brought Bruno along. We know he's got massive experience, obviously racing in a different car this year, but they're coming up to a very fast section of the track as well. Full on commitment, an overtaking opportunity here as they get to the bus stop. So that is what I'm thinking. Guys are going to try and get a pass done as soon as they can. Have a look for Arno Versaghi having a go up the inside here.
Bruno Cadile certainly is a man to watch out for. So much experience, isn't it? And these guys are going to know that he's right there. They're going to know that Bruno Cadile is right there behind him in third position. All that experience, he's just going to bide his time. But someone that's also biding his time, as you mentioned, is Arno Versaghi. I mean, very well done for him. Staying in position, he's still in for the fight. He might have some pace on JC Grobler, but not making the move just yet, and that's probably the right thing to do.
Well, I just had a look at our leaderboard now. I cannot see Jordan Sherritt anywhere. So we've got 23 names there, and Jordan's not there. So obviously getting swamped at that start, getting himself involved in stuff. Maybe we'll be able to catch up with him a little bit later and see where he's dropped to. But Morgan McCall has done well.
And in the pits at the moment is Jordan Sherritt, 24th position and in the pits.
Yeah, he's obviously maybe picked up some damage, or maybe he's going for an early pit stop to get it out the way. So he's got clear track. That might be very, very good, having clear track, so you can actually just put in consistent lap times and hope at the end of the day he's going to end up in a good position while these guys get involved in dogfights. You know, who knows? I'd love to chat. That might be a great call on his part.
Might be the best call on his part. I mean, if that is the move, I mean, that's the smart thing to do, isn't it? He doesn't want to get stuck driving with a bunch of guys that even might be faster than him, but not going to make as many mistakes as he will. You behind someone, that guy gets it a bit sideways. Now you caught up in this problem, and I mean, he doesn't want that right now.
I think he wants to try and put himself in his own simulated run where he's doing lap after lap after lap, not having to worry about looking at mirrors and guys dive bombing him, so he can hopefully at the end of the race find himself in there for maximum points. But that was quite cool because we were actually on board with Tariq. We mentioned it earlier, how easy it is in the heat of battle, cars all around you, just to maybe move your brake marker a little bit out 5 meters, and look how wide he ran, and that's what gave Bruno Cadile the chance to obviously run up the inside. Great to be talking about Bash as well. He's trying to hang on to this little front pack over here. We see the little Merc just in the back there. There you have a look at it, running in fourth place. But good little battle, amazing. These four have broken away already. So Tariq is he's dropped back a long way. Daniel Rowe is part of that little pack as well. On board now with Arno. This is that great opportunity. He's tried up the inside, he's looking around the outside, but for me, I think it's more important to line this up, get yourself as close as possible, see if you can hang on to him down Eau Rouge and through Radion, and then have a go down the Kimmel Straight. That would be the sensible overtaking opportunity, in my opinion.
Yeah, so far he is absolutely matching the time of his competitor in front in the Ferrari. I mean, really making sure that he's sticking with him. There's nothing in the time at the moment. So he could also be wanting to take this ride and try and get away from third and fourth place. They've got a slight gap now over Bruno Cadilli. Not much to talk about. But I do think Bashir Jabbat's going to be in this mix. I think Bashir Jabbat has the experience at this level to be able to stick with these guys for multiple laps. It's still another 45 minutes remaining in the race. And that's a lot of time. A lot can happen in 45 minutes.
Yeah, listen, you know what's quite interesting? Obviously, we've got the GT Gran Turismo Sport series that runs tomorrow night. And chatting to the guys there, the slipstream effect is maybe exaggerated in that platform, but it doesn't seem to be the case here. Now, obviously, we're not running identical cars. You've got the Ferrari versus the McLaren. We don't know how it's working on top end, but I expected to see a little bit more from Arno being in the slipstream of JC up ahead of him, but JC was able to fend him off. So for me, that's really cool if you are in first place and you start worrying less and less about the slipstream, because it feels like you've got the straight line speed over the guy. So that is crucial, because that just takes a bit of pressure off of him. He needs to worry less about the Kimmel Straight, because it looks like he's got the top end on the McLaren.
Well, a car that always has historically had top end is this Mercedes at the moment that we got eyes on. That is Quade Claessen's down in 11th position. Claessen's didn't, as far as I know, have any ballast, but still quite far down the field. I mean, one of the things that we haven't mentioned is the fact that the cars now perform and behave differently at different tracks, more so than last year. We're seeing a mix-up. The mix-up is happening on all levels.
Yeah, it's also, for me, we're learning this now because we haven't gone and spent time in game trying to figure out what car is strong where. But it doesn't seem like Merc has that straight line advantage that we know it had last year, where a guy like Bruno was outperforming the car, and then when he got to these type of tracks, they were the tracks where he need great move by Daniel Rowe. You see, and that is just putting his car in the right place, ends up putting Brian Lewis under a bit of pressure and saying, listen, what does Brian do? He's like, oh, okay, I'm not getting involved. No, great move, clean pass, nothing to look at other than how to do a perfect overtake from Daniel Rowe. But that for me is interesting because the Merc doesn't seem to have that top end speed either. So this I love. They just keep us guessing as commentators too. Arno looking a lot closer to the back of JC here. So this I think
could
is
be the
perfect
move.
opportunity.
This could be it. Up the hill they go.
Have a look at the long exit of the pit lane too. Very, very dangerous re-entry as well, because you're kind of feeding onto the racetrack at the fastest point. But he's going to try and go around the outside, which isn't a bad move because it's a right and left. So if he stays here, this can be his. He's backed out of it. So well done by JC, putting his car in the right place.
And now look, we've got Camille now.
Last of the late breakers, and this is giving a chance to Bashir as well, because he's going, this is awesome. These guys need to fall over each other and hold each other up. But have a look at that compromised line. So because Arno couldn't get the move done, he's now dropped back because he was off the perfect line, and obviously Bruno could line it up perfectly, but he's got to keep doing that. So regroup, Arno, have another go, because you're making JC think up front.
I do think he's got the pace on him. We'll have to wait and see if he can do it again. He gave up some advantage now. He bunched positions 2, 3, and 4 up now, bringing Bashir Jabbat into the mix as well. And that move over there, they touched. They literally were right up next to each other. But true professional. Oh my goodness! We just heard now that Jordan Shedder is just had an incident. We're hoping that we can go to that. That was at the race start early on, and that's why he went into the pit.
Yeah, that's why I said I don't know if it was strategy or if he had damage. So we'll try and pick up where that accident was. There is mid-pack. I'm having a look.
He's in the ATK car. Oh,
there we go. So there was just a little tap. Cars going side by side through the right-hander. Nothing too serious. But Ernest, just to pick up on what you were saying there, the McLaren for me seems better through the fast sweeping corners, but it doesn't have the straight line speed because he was so close to the back of the Ferrari, and I thought that's a move done, and he was barely able to get alongside of him. So it looks like the McLaren is doing all of the good work through the fast corners, and the Ferrari's got the ponies in the straight line.
Yeah, certainly got the ponies, and the Evo Ferrari, as they've developed it now. At the end of last year, when I was still driving quite often, I noticed that the Ferrari was a bit faster with an update, and now with the latest version, I think it's just a competitive car. We saw it win in Pro-Am now recently, just today, earlier on today. And here now again, we got a Ferrari in the front, in the lead for the first time in the Pro Series. I mean, it's insane to be able to see this. It's great to see that we've got this competitive element now, and McBallast throwing things upside down, literally, with the standings being as upside down as we got Charles Wilkin down in 20th at the moment, Morgan McCall down in 14th. We haven't mentioned any of the McCall brothers, Junior down in 18th. I mean, this is a jumbled up thing over here, and it's good to see some new names.
This is great. Yeah, this is great racing, though, just to jump in there, because we saw that move through the bus stop chicane, Daniel Rowe and Brian Lewis. Looks like Brian came back at him. Daniel had to make a pass again down the Kimmel Straight, and I think this is what he's hoping, to have a bit of clean air so he can get a bit of a run on there, because putting pressure on Brian Lewis now is have a look in the Bentley, so maybe there will be some Bentley helping Bentley, because I think Daniel would like a bit of clean breathing space so he can set up his rhythm, get into his race, because up the road ahead of him is his teammate Rick Adam in the cut, so we know there won't be any problems if Daniel does get onto the back of that. But again, at the end of the day, you know, it might be quite funny. Consistency might be the thing that wins out at the end of the day.
Just some short technical difficulties there, guys, but what you did miss was a move from Versaghi on Grobler on exactly the same spot, Marius. So that looks like that's the spot where he's got his eye on that first position. Hasn't been able to make it stick yet, but Grobler must be feeling the heat right now.
No, but like I said earlier, I think he knows that he's got the straight line speed. So the big overtaking opportunity is down the Kimmel Straight. And we've seen Arno trying a few times and not being successful there. So that must give you a lot of confidence if that is the main overtaking spot, and you know that you've got your match. Just picked up on our chat as well, and I see it on the timing sheets here. Tristan de Nobrega being given a drive-through penalty for an avoidable contact, so that's cool. It means he's got to go through that long pit lane, so it's a big punishment here, but at least it's served in game. So we might have a look at things like that in our incident report tomorrow night, but it won't affect his outcome. You know, you can put that behind him now and get back to racing. Kieran Patterson, a guy we spoke about a lot last year, he was getting quicker and quicker as the season ran on, running in Porsche last year, obviously in a Bentley now this year. He'll be happy with us sitting in 9th place, so lots of points to be scored, but quite a big gap between him and the next Bentley in 8th place. So this is cool. He's not under pressure from Bernard King behind him. He's got a bit of clear track ahead of him, so he can really focus on putting in some good quick lap times, because we've got 36 minutes to go. It's a long time still. We haven't seen any pit stops yet in terms of normal pit stops. I'm assuming Jordan, after his incident, decided to make it a pit stop and get it out the way. So he's probably the only one that's actually done a proper pit. But I see Tristan's doing his drive-through now at the moment as well. Good to get that out the way so you can get back to racing.
Yeah, looks like Jordan and Frank Collar are the only two that have done pit stops at the moment, and I think that's the move for him. That's definitely the move for him as we now go on board.
That's what we said, Ernest, though. That was the challenge. It's so easy to get yourself caught up when you mid-pack. You know, when he gets a clean start, he just worries about the track ahead of him. He doesn't have to look left or right. right, and he's gone, and he's into his rhythm. Now suddenly you've got so many cars around you, everyone's dogfighting, and it's so easy to trip over each other, and that's exactly what happened. So very, very tough week, and I know he's bitching and moaning about the success ballast, but that is what it's there for. It's there to kind of give us an even season.
His times at the moment are telling the story of success ballast being a problem. 2 minutes 18.9 is his best at the moment, and just to give you some context, the leader doing 2 minutes 17.0, so 1.8 seconds, 1.9 seconds thereabouts, the difference between Jordan and Grobler at the moment.
Massive,
that's a big gap.
That's massive. Well, that's what I said right in the beginning. I mean, it's a long lap this, so to be losing a second and a half, 2 seconds a lap here, I mean, you're completely out of touch. So I made the call, if we see one of our top 3 in the top 15, it'll be awesome. And at the moment, Morgan is there. He's hanging on to 15th place. So I'll be stoked to see him there. He'll be very happy with that result. And he's very close, looking at the timing, just all over the back of Aldo Bellingham. So it might be quite a nice battle to try and catch up with, just to see how those two are having a go.
Well, we just got some news now that success ballast at this track is actually, it's a track that the Mercedes-Benz has historically struggled with, or at least currently struggling with. And last year, this would have been an awesome track for the Mercedes based on the speed. But unfortunately, they are suffering a little bit there. And with ballast, another person with ballast is Morgan McCall, who's running 50 kilos at the moment and now being put under massive pressure by Aldo Bellingham in the Lamborghini in 15th position. They are now fighting for 14th. Jason Abschmeyer just up ahead there. Aldo Bellingham in 15th position, all the way from Port Elizabeth. Tries to have a look.
Yeah, so Morgan did make that move, so that's awesome. We said he was just all over the back of him. He got that move done on Aldo, so up into 14th place. Really, really good. Next, obviously, target is Jason Abschmeyer down the road. Have a look at him going through Radion at the moment. So, yeah, success ballast is obviously proving to be doing what it was designed to do. Throw the cat amongst the pigeons, and obviously you kind of don't know how you want to plan your 6 races, and kind of would you want to maybe not win at Imola, knowing that your car kind of is not the greatest car. Oh, who's that running? It's Jordan running very wide there. Knowing that your car is not a great car around this track, now you slap success ballast on it, and you're going even further back. So maybe if you asked Jordan, would he prefer to have finished maybe in 5th place at Imola, maybe he would have taken it, looking at how he's getting punished today with that 80 kilograms.
I wonder if that strategy is going to come into play as the season wears on. Only time will tell. As you go on board with Lewis now in the Mercedes-Benz, right behind Daniel Rowe. Lewis currently with the best time of 2 minutes 17.6. Daniel Rowe with the best time of 2 minutes 17.7. So Lewis must be thinking, I've got a 10th of a second on my best lap, which was his last lap. So he's starting to edge closer to the hard-charging 6th place, Daniel.
Well, what I love is it looks like the Bentley and the Merc are quite evenly set up on this track, because none of these guys are running with ballast. So what you're seeing is out-and-out car performance here. So it looks like it's not a great track for the Bentley or the Merc, but McLaren and Ferrari are going happy days. So I'm sure these guys have all gone and looked at what the season is, and gone and driven their cars at the various tracks. So it'll be interesting to see if we are going to get guys jumping to different vehicles at the midpoint of the season. But yeah, definitely favoring Ferrari, and this will be awesome for us. To imagine going for a double, a Ferrari winning Pro-Am and taking it out in pros. We haven't had that, so that would be flipping awesome. Talk about cheering on new manufacturers. I love that.
Sure, unbelievable stuff. And it's so fantastic as we watch them zip by the wall there on the way down the hill through Eau Rouge. And again, Fasaki now up close, not that close, not as close as earlier, but let's watch again. Let's see if he's able to get and reel in that Ferrari up until the top of the hill. It's too far away at the moment, too far away, too much distance between them. And for now, he's just going to have a look and watch Grobler lead the way.
Yeah, that's what we've watched this story unfold lap after lap now. The McLaren is great, just not in a straight line. So, sure, JC would have to make a mistake. So I think what Arno is working on now is putting him under massive pressure. There's some back markers that they're catching up to now, so that changes things big time.
What's happening here?
Yeah, good race. This is Brian and Daniel going door to door, and look have a look. Deploy is now getting sucked into this as well. So it is good. Looks like the Merc might be quicker than the Bentley in a straight line, and Daniel using all of his real racecraft to make that Bentley, which is a big boat, take up even more space on the track. But I think if we get back to our race leaders in a moment, it'll be interesting to see them when they start getting into the traffic, which they are. That might be a great opportunity for Arno to put additional pressure on JC, and hoping that he obviously makes a mistake.
Sure. Mistakes are what are going to separate these guys here, because this is one of those circuits where you start getting into that rhythm, and we can see it here. These guys are nose to tail in 6th, 7th, and 8th position. You've got Lewis in 7th over there, and at the back, Deploy having a look. And I wonder what Deploy's thinking. What are these two guys going to be doing? Watching them, enough distance between them. He knows that he can get closer, but it's not going to be the time or the place now. If the two of these guys in front of him can tangle, he might be able to take an advantage. And the other thing that we haven't mentioned yet, it could be pit stop time pretty soon. So, what's going through the driver's head as they go through the sweeping fast left hand to the high G corner into the hard braking zone now, and coming past the section that I mistakenly called the start. I'm probably not going to live that one down anytime soon.
No, but it is confusing.
Into the pits he goes. Into the pits he goes.
You called
it. That is Lewis. That is Lewis into the pits there. And now I'm going to start the timer this time, Marius.
Cool.
And give you an idea of how long this pit stop takes. I mean, he's going to go in here. His lap time was a 2:17 early on. He's just done a 2:26. And still making his way down the pit lane.
What'll be very interesting now for me is, does Daniel now pit to kind of counter what Lewis has just done? Because for us it looked like Lewis had the pace and he felt that Daniel was holding him up, so he's going, let me go pit stop now, and I can jump him in the stop. So it'll be interesting to see what Daniel decides to do, if he's just going to stay out and put in his consistent lap time. So we got it wrong at Imola. We were calling great early pit stop, this is strategy, and Daniel said to me, it really backfired. It didn't work for them at all and ended up going backwards. So maybe now they're going to go as long as they can and kind of literally stop towards the end.
But as you mentioned earlier on, it's all about simulations, isn't it? These guys would have done the simulations, but again, there's so many different variables, and the ballast being one of those things. As we go on board with Jason van Rooyen in 11th position, nice to see the White Rabbit gaming car out in effect. Jason van Rooyen sticking to the Ferrari this season. And I, for one, am glad. I think it's a good car. It was always a good car, and he was always one of the fastest Ferrari drivers. I think he's going to be a bit disappointed that he didn't get the win today, but a good showing nonetheless in 11th position, giving someone as fast and as talented as Quade Claessens a good run for his money there in the 10th place Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah, it's like these are guys we were used to seeing right up at the top. Quade Claessens running in 10th, but like we said, running in different cars this year. So obviously I think the Merc is going to be the consistent car across 6 rounds, which is why the guys have gone that route with it. So yeah, it might not be the greatest track for them, but they'll know that. So for me, it's about scoring as many points as I can at these sort of circuits. Jason Absmeyer again, another guy we used to seeing right up at the top, and Yari sitting in 12th. So just interesting for me. We have a look at Van Rooyen in the other Ferrari in 11. So JC Krobler is really driving like an absolute legend up front in that Ferrari, because he really has got it set up perfectly.
Well, Lewis down now in 18th position, and interested to see what time he's going to be running. More cars now into the pits as Bashir Jadwat from 4th position into the pit lane early on. Just to give you guys an idea of what the standings did look like earlier on, you had Grobler in 1st, Versaghi in 2nd, Kadile in 3rd, Bashir in 4th, and Adams in 5th. So that was the standings before the pit window started getting filled up by cars. And now as the drivers start slowly making their way into the pit lane, we're going to start seeing the deck getting shuffled. And speaking of decks getting shuffled, I mean, aren't you just loving the fact that we've got all these new names today up at the front? And I love that term, at the sharp end of the field.
Yeah.
The field just got, the sharp end just looks a lot different this time.
Look, this is what I'm interested in now, because obviously everything's going to be shuffled with the pit stops. But this is the pit stop you want to watch when these two decide to go. So when is JC going to say, okay, I'm going to pit now? And Arno would have to go, well, listen, I can't pit at the same time as him because that's pointless. Then I know I'm going to finish second because I can't pass this guy. So it might be a case of whoever pits first, the other guy, and I'm assuming Arno will then stay out and try and get an extra lap in where he can hopefully have clear track and just put in his fastest lap time. But the guys are going to start struggling now with tyre wear. So expecting to see everyone pitting, and have a look at how full that pit lane is. Don't be shocked the cars aren't driving through each other. That is one thing that is awesome about virtual. You don't have any congestion in the pit lane. You just box and get your perfect pit stop done. What was the timing, Ernest? Did you on that pit stop? What was the duration?
I'm busy working it out right now. Lewis is on his way to crossing the line. He's going to do about a 3-minute 45, looks like it. Yep, 3-minute 44. So I've got to do some maths.
Dude, I can't even help you. You know, I've got to take my shoes off if I want to count to 20. So you're on your own with a calculator.
But yeah, so far it looks like it's more than 1 minute and 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So it's about, I would say, 1 minute and 20 thereabouts. And that's a long time to be spending in the pit lane, man. That's a long time. He's now still in 18th position, but I'm sure he's going to start zipping by 12th place at the moment on the official standings. He's Lewis. And he's going to start zipping by other drivers, I'm sure, as more drivers. Now we're on board with Bashir Jadwat in 9th place. He went from 4th earlier on, down now in 9th. And the guys in the top 8 are still not pitting.
We've got 2 and 3 that are pitting. So Arno and Bruno have decided to go and pit. So now if I was JC, I would pit on the next lap. Just secure it, get your lead done. They've pitted. You had a healthy gap. I think you had about a 2-second gap at that point because Arno couldn't hang on the back of him anymore. So if I was JC, I would pit right now, done and dusted. You're going to come out in front and off you go and win your first ATK Pro Series race. So that is what I would suggest, and I expect we're going to see that happening now because he's kind of, the other guys are now trying fancy undercuts at the pit stop, but it's not going to happen. So well done. What a good race, eh? To put that car on hold. His first time leading out the start and getting it done. So this is his race to lose at this stage. Obviously, Jason and the guys haven't pitted yet, so that's why we've seen Jason, who was running in 12th, is now sitting in 2nd position. But have a look at that, 21 seconds off. So JC can pit and come out happily back in the lead once these guys do their pit stops.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the pit stop effect, I'm still keeping my eye on Lewis here on my little cheat screen. And he's 1 second up on his best time. Now, whether that's because of tires or because he was being held up by Rowe now 1.5 seconds up the road. But Lewis is much faster than he was earlier on. So interesting stuff. And I think we are going to see a bit more of a shuffle here, Marius.
Yeah.
As Daniel Rowe seems to make a mistake here on my screen, and he's now getting all sorts of pressure once again. Oh, overtake there. That is, looks like a backmarker getting some heat there from Abschmeyer.
Yeah, that was Jason getting fast.
So Abschmeyer at least not getting caught up there by that backmarker. Still hasn't pitted yet.
But it's quite interesting because what Daniel did say to me is like nailing the pit stop in terms of where you park the car, making sure it's in the right space, really does save you a lot of time. And if you remember, he was under massive. We've got a replay of an incident. So that's deploy, I think, in the Bentley. That is Kieran Patterson running into the back of Aldo Bellingham is what I think we're seeing there. I might be wrong, but I'm sure. Is that Kieran? Is that a Bentley or a Merc? Sorry, Kieran, if it wasn't you. My eyes aren't so good at long range, so we'll hopefully get another replay on that and see who fell over who. But it was definitely deploy in that missed Bentley because you can't miss that livery. It's interesting to see what happened there. But that's what Daniel was saying. I mean, remember in that pit stop, he had lots of pressure from Brian, but he's actually come out after the pit stops having gapped him. So it'd be interesting to see you saying that he's putting in some cracker lap times and have a look at that. He's brought that down from 1.5 seconds off of Daniel. He's now back to under 1 second, so that's brilliant. Krobler has pitted like we predicted he would do, and that is brilliant. That is just seeing off all your competitors. He'll come out easily ahead if he nails his pit stop. Let me not go and jinx him. But at least now we know what's happened. It's going to be a clear race to the finish.
Yeah, keep eyes on Krobler there just to make sure that he comes out in front. And just another reminder, we're looking to see Grobler, Versaghi and Kadile in the top 3 if all goes according to plan. But who knows? We're going to have to wait and see as the pit stops unfold. Currently on board with Bruno Kadile behind Versaghi. So this is correct as Kadile runs a little bit wide there. This is correct. And Bashir Jadwat now slotted in right behind, racing a little bit closer than it was before the pit stop. So these guys have got eyes on each other now. Bashir Jadwat hard charging there with those lights ablaze, having a look now to see if he can make his way past the two McLarens in front of him.
Yeah, so it looks like Arno's kind of lost out a little bit in that pit stop, because you're right, Bruno and Bash were definitely a little bit further back. So this obviously plays perfectly into JC's hands, because it looks like Arno didn't have the perfect in-lap and out-lap, which is crucial at this point. So it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out.
JC's making his way out now.
Yeah, so look at that.
JC's making his way out now.
So well done. I mean, he's going to have a healthy gap. Obviously, these guys are going to be up to speed. And the rejoin for me, as I said earlier, is super dangerous. Have a look. You feed onto the top of that. Those guys come through at full speed, but he's got a healthy gap here. So this is now pressure off, my son. All you've got to do is manage a race for 20 minutes with no pressure, no cars around you. Brilliant.
7 seconds, 6 seconds. The gap counting down, but I think it's going to settle as soon as he takes this corner.
Yeah.
6 seconds at the moment, 5.7.
Oh, brilliant.
He's got himself a window.
Yeah,
he's got himself a 5.5 second window.
Yeah, I mean, he's ready. I think Arno really had some issues on his in-lap or out-lap, because he was probably about 2 seconds off the back of him. So brilliantly done by Grobler there. And what a cool thing, when you know it's a pit stop. This is where things can go wrong. You've held the guy off, you've defended your lead, you nail the pit stop, you come out and you don't see a car in your mirrors. You go, yeah, man. Well done. So that's awesome. He can now really settle into his rhythm without any pressure. Arno really looks like he's now obviously got back to running speed. He's found his rhythm again, because he's literally blitzed Bruno. Interesting, both of them running in McLarens, and Arno obviously has the setup perfectly dialed in for his McLaren, because we know Bruno's a very experienced motor racer, and to see him being dusted like that is quite interesting. But to be fair, Bashir's all over the back of Bruno, so he might be doing a bit of mirror watching at this stage.
Well, speaking of mirror watching, the first time I met Bruno Kadile properly was on track, and he was all up on my bumper through this very section over here. If he can recall, I'm sure he hears this broadcast, he'll remember what I'm talking about. Very fast on the circuit is Bruno Kadile, and also used to absorbing pressure. I mean, we've seen him in some of the highest pressure moments we've seen in the Pro Series. So he's now got Bashir Jabba on the back of him, but I'm sure he's used to that kind of pressure. And hopefully he doesn't make the same mistake he made in Japan last year, where he spun out on, I think, what was the last lap. But I'm sure he learned from that experience. Sometimes you got to make the mistake to learn from the mistake. Yeah. And Bruno Kadile, definitely one of those guys that has, over time, shown his class as one of the top sim racers in the country.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, what I saw last year for me, and it was so cool to meet so many of the guys last year at the Kyalami 9 Hour. I mean, you spoke about having them as one of our series partners, and they were there from the beginning last year. And to have all the sim racers that we had commentated about, guys that are kind of nameless faces, I suppose, to finally put faces to those names was awesome. So it was nice to meet them, and Bruno was one of them. And I just said to him how stoked I was with what I saw in terms of his racecraft in a Mercedes then that wasn't the vehicle of choice. And for him to have had the season that he had, I thought was fantastic. Going on board now with Rico Francola, a man who's stuck with the Bentley. We saw some good races from him last year. Dominate, actually won, I think, in Pro-Am. So good to see him consistently running in the top. And in front of him is Noah Hendricks. So another interesting.
Weird to see Noah in something other than a Ferrari.
Yeah, exactly. He's probably cursing that choice now, because he was our Ferrari guy last year. He's going, damn, I'm in the wrong car again. But yeah, awesome. Rico Francola getting the pass done there. So very, very cool, and nice to obviously catch up with the action further down. I mean, Etienne Kleb, we haven't spoken about him. Chris Heineke as well, another name that we know from his Porsche successes last season, and jumping into the Bentley this year. So it doesn't look like the Bentley is the greatest car around here, but I'm sure they're going to be tracks where it is going to be a lot quicker. But again, it's consistency. I mean, we're not worrying. This isn't a one-off race. This is a 6 series championship. So just score points wherever you can.
Sure, but things are really going to get shook up now. We've got our main driver from the last event, Jordan Sheridan, all the way down the standings over there in 17th position, in front of Junior McCall, importantly, but not in front of Morgan McCall, who is, I think, effectively, as far as our ballast holders goes.
Yeah.
I mean, that is an important story to tell here, because he is the highest up with regard to. Let's see, Jason Abschmeyer got 30 kilos, Morgan, though, got 50.
Yeah.
So Jason and Morgan not doing too badly, all things
But have a
considered.
look at the battle here. I mean, Morgan is all over the back of Jason. So expect to see a pass coming along here as they head into the heavy braking point for the bus stop. So is he going to go inside? Is he going to go outside? He's making his move early. But yeah, I think Jason will just block him off and make him go the long way around on the outside. But great racing, and this is good. So these guys both running with Success Ballast. And
This is the championship. This is the champion battle happening. The championship battle
for
happening.
sure,
Right
for
now.
sure it is. And I cannot tell you, I'm impressed. Jordan will be happy in 17th because he's obviously in his room, 16 minutes to go. I think he might end up finishing a little bit higher up. I predicted not seeing someone with ballast in the top 15. I'm going to be proven wrong, and I'm happy with that. This is great racing, and I love that we're on board with this battle at the moment. Just behind is Van Rooyen and the other Ferrari we spoke about earlier. We know how quick the Ferrari is in a straight line, so he's going to be loving the fact that the two Mercs are getting caught up in a battle. Watch Van Rooyen come into his own here at the end of the Kimmel Straight. He'll be right on the back of them, and this is going to obviously give him lots of encouragement.
Sure, Van Rooyen in the mix there with these two title contenders. It's important to realize that this on-track battle that's happening now, I mean, whoever gets the jump here effectively adds that success to what was achieved in round one. Because even though they're 12th and 11th position, these two guys were right up in the front at the last race. And I'm sure once they lose this ballast, will be once again right up in front at the next race. So it's an on-track battle that I think we need to watch play out later on as the time ticks down with 15 minutes to go. And right behind them, as mentioned, our stalwart Ferrari ace there, Jason Van Rooyen in the White Rabbit Gaming Ferrari, they're down in 13th position. Now we cut to Daniel Rowe, who's getting pressure now from Kieran Patterson in 8th place. Daniel Rowe currently running in...
No, that's Lewis.
Sorry, Daniel,
that's Lewis.
That's Lewis. That's Lewis.
Yeah, that's Lewis. So Daniel's got the pass down again. So this was a battle that we were loving before the pit stops. And literally, I'm just going to say it. This is Daniel's racecraft, because I think the Bentley, if you look, there are no other Bentleys anywhere near Daniel Rowe at the moment. It's Kieran Patterson in 8th, Daniel sitting in 6th. And I think literally he's just putting this car in the perfect position, because certainly Brian Lewis is quicker. He's in a quicker car, and Daniel is just using all of his massive experience and racecraft to keep this an interesting battle. But what a fantastic race.
The switch happening here. The switch happening. Lewis trying to get down the inside now, and now this is going to be the outside for the following corner. He's going to try and make his way around all the way around the outside. Rowe defending hard, but look at that. As you say, perfectly lines it up. What's going to happen on the braking? Rowe's going to try and place his car on the apex.
Yeah, Daniel will run deep, so that's all he's got to do, is run deep, which is what he did, but very clever by Brian. You saw he got on the brakes early and tried to get the undercut again. So very, very good racing by both of them. Massive experience. I'm loving this. This is awesome.
This is what we said would happen earlier. The sequence of corners where these type of drivers will be able to capitalize. Oh, it's a bit of a sideways moment there. The Bentley runs wide as well. These two guys are pushing each other very hard, but Rowe still has the inside line for that corner coming up now. Rowe down the inside. We saw this happening with the battle for first place as well. Will Lewis be able to outbrake him? Lewis is now just by the bumper. Is he going to cut across him? Oh, leaves enough space. Rowe now back on the outside and going to be on the inside for the following corner. Rowe down the inside once again. And this is all the way through, ladies and gentlemen.
Well
side
done.
by side they go. Still in it. And eventually Rowe capitulates. And it looks like Lewis has taken it from him.
No, listen, that was brilliant. Like standing ovation for both of them, because they left each other with enough space to play. They didn't try and do anything stupid. But this is what I spoke about earlier. If you can hang side by side there, because it's a left and a right and a left and a right, you're in, you're not, you're in, you're not. And at the end of the day, you get spat out and you're either behind or you're in front. But that was brilliant on both of their parts. And that's what we want to see. That is pro racing. No one falling over each other. So easy to do, because we know it's quite difficult to judge door to door when you are playing simulator. But a big moment there from Lewis. We saw the twitch on the rear end, and that's brought Daniel back into it again. So, wow, man, I'm expecting a couple of more overtakes from these two.
Yeah, Lewis, the car all over the place at the moment. I can see the car moving as we look at the onboard here with Daniel Rowe. But he did have the pace early on, and his out-and-out pace is about 0.2 of a second up on Rowe. But I mean, that's nothing over a 2 minute 17-second lap. That's not a lot of time. So if Rowe can stick with him, apply some pressure. Rowe's not going to try and have a look down the inside. He's a bit far from far behind. Takes him though, and I think Lewis gave that up. I think Lewis was worried about getting taken out there.
No, it's amazing.
Rowe came back from way back.
but that is experience, because I think literally Lewis was just watching his mirrors, and I think he kind of got himself, oh flip, maybe I think he probably outbraked himself and ran wide. But that is what you've got to do, is put your car in the right position, put the pressure on the driver in front of you. And that is what Daniel, for him, this is what he's used to, because he's in this position in real racing all the time. And it's great to see how that can transfer into simulator. This racecraft, the pressure that mounts is what we're seeing here. So watch this again. We're going to have a repeat. I love it. It's like take two.
Oh, that's awesome. Down the inside he goes. Lewis now placing his car right alongside. This is what he wants to do. Lewis gets ahead. Oh, just by a whisker. Forces it ahead.
That Merc is a lot quicker in a straight line than the Bentley. So that was, I mean, an easy pass for him at the end of the day. So Daniel's got all the work to do again. But I can tell you now, you chat to these two afterwards, and they will be stoked. This will be a race that they'll never forget, because that is all you want as a racing driver, is to go door to door, have a good, clean battle. Very nice camera angle with P1. I love it. And look at the gap that he's got. I mean, it's like a 4 or 5 second lead over second place. So with 10 minutes to go, Krobler's like driving the perfect race. Have a look, Lewis has gone and run wide, so he's his own worst enemy. Daniel is just consistent, hitting the break points, and I think Lewis is kind of feeling it. Maybe he was hoping to try and open a bit of a gap to kind of not have the pressure from Daniel. He's going to upgrade himself on one of those tricky downhill braking markers, and Daniel's now got some breathing space. So this is brilliant racing. I mean, I'm loving it.
Oh, Daniel makes a mistake now. And Lewis now once again back on all over the back of him. Maybe with 10 minutes to go, these guys are suffering a little bit with the tire degradation.
Yeah, they did. Remember, they also, sorry jumping, they did pit quite early. They were like one of the first of, before the big rush of pit stops at about the 25-minute mark. I think these guys came in around about 28, 29 minutes. So they have been running on these tires for a lot longer. So yeah, who knows? Maybe there's some tire wear, but he's got a healthy gap now, and this is what he's going to want, because that Bentley is not quick in a straight line.
Not at all. The Mercedes-Benz proving to be quite fast. The Bentley unfortunately suffering here a little bit, but Daniel Rowe certainly hustling the big Bentley around the circuit. I mean, even the guys that race these cars call them boats. So no secret there that it's a big car, but certainly he's doing well to hustle it around the circuit.
Just interesting. I picked up Ernest in 17th, Jordan Sherritt, but have a look who he's got past. His junior McCall. So that is crucial. Jordan doing all the things he needs to do. That is showing some class on his part. Involved in a first lap incident at the start of the race, pitted early, but
ahead of Charles Walken as well. So things are hotting up now.
So it's brilliant, just showing that even with that success ballast that he's hating, he's still putting together a fantastic race and scoring the most points that he can, because he knows round 3 he's going to be running lightweight, and watch out there, because I'm coming. So clock up as many points as you can.
Oh, some more good camera angles here at the ATK Pro Series, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz South Africa and ATK. And speaking of Mercedes-Benz, looking back at that Merc, lights ablaze, keeping the driver in front there. Very honest, Bashir Jadwat there in 4th position, looking good in the Mercedes-Benz. Let's see how he does in the end. I mean, Bashir always near the top. It's good to see him back again. Good to see him competitive.
Look, that is the thing now. I mean, not that I want to be negative for these poor guys. Let's love how well they're doing, but they're going to know round 3 they're going to be the ones carrying the weight. So it's crucial. This is the little seesaw effect that I'm loving. So we get to recognize new drivers. They're going to be winning for the first time, which is awesome. Now it's about how they're going to handle running with success ballast at the next round, and that's what makes for me for a really incredible season. And I think it's brilliant. I mentioned it right at the beginning of our stream. Great work by ATK in terms of bringing in the pit stop, having the eliminations, guys getting relegated based on qualifying results, and obviously crucial is having the success ballast as well, because there's not a lot of strategy at play.
I love it. I've always been trying to be a proponent of success ballast, because we get to see situations like this. And it's also a skill dealing with success ballast. Just like any aspect of motorsport is a skill that can be learned and taught. Dealing with success ballast, whether it's the mental aspect of being frustrated with the car driving differently, all of those things, it's part of what makes a driver a great driver. And as you said earlier on, at the end of all of this, the talent's going to bubble to the surface, and that will be our ATK Pro Series champ.
Yeah, I just think for me, what's cool as well, we are looking at a championship. So some tracks are going to suit your car, and that is what you've got to do. Listen, this isn't a great track for me, so all I need to do is be consistent and score points where I can. When it's my time to win, when my car is quick, I must win. And when my car isn't great, then I must get as many points as I can. And that's what we're seeing here. So have a look, Junior. We've got that action now with Jordan Sheridan, Junior McCall, and Charles Wilkin just behind them as well.
Sure.
So these were guys that were like right at the top, our top four for sure. First, second, and fourth, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
So this is brilliant. All of these guys running with weight, but obviously looking to score maximum points. So Junior coming back at Jordan Sheridan as well. So this is going to be a good little race with 6 minutes to go as well. Massive points up for grabs here.
Junior McCall there in 18th position, a number that he will not be much used to these days. And I'm sure also not used to seeing Jordan Sheridan in front of him in 17th place. But alas, here we are, and the two drivers now, both ATK drivers, now having to battle it out on track. And no love lost here, I'm sure. Early on, side by side they were. And still McCall applying pressure to the young Jordan Sheridan in front.
Well, what's cool, looking in 12th is our championship leader at this stage, Morgan McCall. If everything stays as it is, with him finishing third in the first round and obviously a few points ahead of the guys in this round, that's going to be our new championship leader going into round 3. Let me not jinx it. I've got a drive-through penalty by the looks of things for Jordan Sheridan. So I don't know if that was for exceeding track limits. I'm sure we'll find out on our feed because there wasn't an incident. That is going to ruin his race weekend.
That is not good. Drive-through penalty. We're looking on the left-hand side. You can see the big red BT. And that, of course, is a drive-through penalty, more than likely for track limits. This is one of those circuits where track limits is a problem.
Yeah, it happened.
Especially sections like this over here.
It happened to Etienne Kleb as well. I just picked up on the feed now as well. So it was an in-game issued drive-through penalty. So it looks like that's what's happened to Jordan. Man, that is...
exceeding track limits confirmed. And this is the thing, we were talking about it earlier on, that the types of pressure in motorsport vary. And sometimes you get the kind of pressure where you're leading, and we've seen Sheridan being very good at being able to take that kind of pressure. He's once he's got a clear track, nobody can touch it.
But you see, the problem now is what is Ernest. Even though they're so far down now in a championship battle, because behind him is Morgan. I mean, he's Junior, so Junior's putting him under pressure, so he can't just coast, and that is why he's pushing. You're going to be thinking, why are you exceeding track limits when you're down in 17th? Well, because I'm racing to score as many points. That's why. So it's going to be something that's going to really curse him and ruin his weekend for sure. Man, he's not going to be happy.
Jason van Rooyen in the other Ferrari there, just on screen a second ago, but now back to Lewis in 7th position, still just behind Daniel Rowe in the Mercedes-Benz, and still pushing really fast times. His times now a full 9/10 of a second down on his best though, and that's obviously because he's stuck behind the big wide barge of a Bentley. He can't get past him even on the circuit. And just look at that camera angle. Look at these new camera angles.
Yeah, they're great. In the old days, this is what used to really scare the cameraman, when you got to hang on to that side mirror for dear life. No, listen, it's brilliant. That's what I love. I mean, we really do bring you the ultimate armchair view here, because this is action you're never going to get to see, So good job by director Daniel, bringing us action throughout. There are battles throughout the second round of the ATK Pro Series. And this has been one of my favorites. We've got Kieran Patterson in the back there trying to hang on to the back of Lewis. He's watching the battle up there, hoping they might fall over each other. But it's been great to watch Daniel Rowe and Brian Lewis going door to door, lap after lap. Been awesome. Our lead up front, we haven't seen him for a while. 6-second lead with 2.5 minutes to go. Here he is. What a brilliant drive. I mean, what a perfect race day. Qualifying, dealing with the pressure, having lots of attempts from Arno Fasaki to get past him at the end of the Kimmel Straight. Saw all of those off. The minute that Fasaki went for that pit stop, he was like, dude, I've got you covered. And that's exactly what he did. And what a great result for him. This is amazing. And we could very well, without jinxing it, have a Ferrari 1-2, winning Pro-Am and winning the Pro Division. Well, didn't happen last year, didn't even come close.
He certainly does deserve to win, because his lap time, his set pole lap time, he's currently in the lead, and he's got the fastest lap of the race by the looks of things so far. So I mean, this is the drive of his life.
Yeah,
Jake
and
Hrobler, I mean,
we just saw Jordan pulling in for his drive-through penalty, so that's freed up Junior McCall and Charles Wilkins. So Charles will definitely want to get past Junior here. So expect to see something. They're both obviously racing Bentley versus Mercedes-Benz. We know the Merc seems to be quicker, but we know that Junior is running with a lot more weight than Charles. So this could be an interesting battle with a minute and a half to go. Going to be great to see where Jordan slides back in, how many positions he's going to lose, because as we said earlier, it is a long pit lane. But have a look on board with Charles. He's got the run on Junior, that weight killing Junior as he went through down a Rouge and over Radion. So
Charles
brilliant.
Charles going to close the door. He does so indeed. Charles gets around the
brilliant.
outside there. Wow, well done from Charles Wilkins there. And the thing is, because Charles got a reputation for being quite aggressive, you got to wonder in a situation like that, you know this, Marius, if the guy has a reputation for shutting the door, you expect him to shut the door, and he did.
Yeah, so you're not going to put your nose there because you know it's going to get chopped. But for me, what was really significant there is like you're trying to understand how the ballast works. That's a perfect example because we've seen with Daniel and with Lewis how much quicker the Merc is in a straight line than the Bentley. So how is that the Bentley blitzed past?
Yeah.
That's weight.
Exactly.
Charles is running with less weight than Junior, and that's evident. So if you're not understanding how ballast works, that weight is killing him through every single direction change and in the straight line as well. But great driving there by Charles Wilkin. He'll be happy with that for sure. On board with Hall, looks like he's getting all over the back of Morgan McCall. This could be a nice little finish, 15 seconds to go. So I don't think they're going to make it across. They might get another lap here. I think they probably are going to get another lap because our race leader certainly will be on his last lap. There he is. So this is the final lap. Brilliant racing. This is awesome. So I want to see that because I think Morgan McCall might be under some real pressure at the moment with the Hall all over the back of him.
All in that Bentley, hauling it down.
Oh, nicely done.
Yeah, lining that one up all day. And behind Morgan McCall down the downhill there now with a little bit more distance in between them as they head now at the start of their first, or their last lap at least. A little bit more distance between them.
Yeah, but watch the Bentley come here on the toe. I'm hoping he should be in slipstream. We saw Charles do it to Junior. Is Dwayne going to be able to do the same thing? I don't think so. He's too far back. This will be a Hail Mary lunge, which I hope he doesn't go for because that's going to be in our incident report. Well done, sanity prevails, and well done by Morgan putting his car in the right place there. So I think it's going to be hard for Dwayne to get past him. Lovely having the split screen because we can watch Hrobler as he makes his way around the most incredible circuit. We know it was cold, 13 degrees, chance of rain. There has been no rain, which the drivers, I'm sure, are super stoked about because just navigating Spa in the dry is a challenge enough. But a brilliant race. Man, to see a Ferrari win in ATK Pro Series, I love it.
Yeah, that's great stuff. And you know what? I'm sure that Hrobler will be sitting there in that car at the moment, just trying to keep his composure, make it across the line. He's got the last couple of corners to navigate now. And JC Hrobler, unbelievably, the drive of his life, I'm sure, is going to win round 2 of the ATK.
Awesome.
Side by side he goes, side to side he goes. JC Hrobler, the man in the Ferrari, takes first position. We go on board with Kieran Patterson there, but in second place will be Arno Versaghi. But the man of the moment, certainly, JC Hrobler. Wow, can you believe that Arno Versaghi takes second, Bruno Kadile gets third. Fourth place is Bashir Jadwa T. Adam in fifth. Kieran Patterson fighting it out there for eighth place, right behind Lewis there. Sixth place, Daniel Rose stays in sixth. And Bernard King and Jason Abshire make up your top 10. Whew. There we go, Marius. There we go.
No, that was lovely, eh? This for me is awesome because now I'm already thinking, hey, bring on round 3. What car is going to be good and how is the weight going to affect that car that was meant to be good? It's brilliant. So really nice to see a new race winner. And also well done to the guys that were running with ballast for the first time, coming to terms with that. And I'm going to pick up Morgan McCall for that. I think he's done brilliantly to finish in 12th. But we're going to take a quick ad break, Ernest. When we come back, we can get excited about our race results and our winners.
Cool, and we are back, and that is what the top three looks like. And if you don't recognize many of those names, I don't blame you. You've got JC Grobler in the top spot there. Certainly a familiar name to Pro Series fans, but not someone that we're used to seeing on the top spot. And I, for one, am exceptionally happy for him. He brought the Ferrari home in first position, qualified on pole, and gets the win for the first time at round 2 of the ATK Pro Series, powered by Mercedes-Benz. Versace in second position. And speaking of Mercedes-Benz, we got Bruno Cadile, who started 5th, leapfrogging both Bashir and Tariq Adam to take 3rd position. So what a lovely look at the podium there. Marius, any thoughts from you? I mean, I'm still reeling from that race. What a race it was.
No, I just think what we realize now is that this ATK Pro Series, when we talk pros, they are all top drivers. And, you know, the race that JC Grobler had was immaculate. What a great race weekend. Arno put him under all sorts of pressure. Great result for Arno as well. Bruno, we know he's been on the podium many times. He'll be stoked, obviously, in a new car. I know we've got him lined up for an interview, so interesting to have a chat to him. Bruno, happy with 3rd. The McLaren looked like an absolute cracker around Spa. That's a good result for you.
Yeah, I'm happy. It was an interesting race. Had a great start. It was interesting going up the hill, but then I was just having a mega battle with Bash, so managed to hold him off and finished 3rd. So yeah, I'm not happy, stoked.
big difference between driving the McLaren to the old Merc that you had last year. I was surprised round 1, we didn't get a chance to chat to you, why you made the change when obviously the new spec Merc seemed like a consistently good car this year.
The Merc was cool last year, you know. This year is not a cool car, so I mean a McLaren.
Yeah.
Bruno, I've got to say, like, I've always been a fan of yours, you know that, but I was a fan of yours in the Merc, man, and I was disappointed to see that you weren't in the car, as Mario mentioned, and more disappointed that you weren't at the front of the field, but you're back now. Welcome back to the podium. How does it feel? I mean, it must have been frustrating at times to not be in the positions that you were last year.
No, 100%. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's good to be back on the podium, obviously. But look, I decided to change cars because I drove the Merc the whole of last year, you know, and for me, I want to enjoy a bit of the game, have a bit of fun, and pass it up, change a car. I've always been a McLaren fan, you know, and I thought, you know, why not give McLaren a
You've got good taste, bud. You've got good taste. Quick one before you go. You're gonna. I don't mean to ruin your champagne spraying and celebrations. But you're going to be a bit of a fat boy at round 3. Any thoughts on running with
50
ballast?
kilos fatter, to be exact.
Yeah, look, today it didn't look very good. I mean, we didn't see anything of anyone who ran weight. I think I don't even know where Jordan finished.
Yeah, Jason was 10th, so he was the first of the weight runners. Morgan was 12th, you know, and then Junior a little bit further down. Jordan got a drive-through penalty. He was running in 16th for exceeding track limit, so it has a massive impact. So is that something you start thinking about now with races?
Yeah, I mean, at Spa, it actually was supposed to be a little bit more lenient, you know, because now if you go to a slower track, I mean, the weight's just you're not going to accelerate out of the corners. So, yeah, thanks, I'm going to be a big fat boy and big and slow. I'll see you maybe in the 4th round. Maybe I can do something there. But, yeah, you can't expect good results with all that weight. There's no chance. It's going to be tough.
It's about being consistent, though, scoring points when you can, which is what you did today. Brilliant.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, Arno Versace gets 2nd position, just ahead of Bruno Cadile. And as I said, Mario, it's nice to see Bruno back near the top of the podium of their 3rd position. He was one of the often last year, but the man of the moment. I mean, the guy that drove the race of his life. I'm sure. I would love to hear from JC Grobler to find out exactly what it was like to, number 1, qualify in pole position, and number 2, win the race outright. I mean, JC Grobler, you've just joined us now. What was it like winning the race, leading off for the first time? I mean, we're not used to seeing you so far ahead of the guys, and yet you ran a flawless race.
I wouldn't say flawless. There were some hairy moments, but
from where we were standing.
No, it was tough. Hey, hats off to Mr. Arno for keeping me on my toes. It was from the green flag. It was just insane. So hats off to him.
JC, we were actually talking about it in commentary. Very, very tricky leading out for the first time. And I mean, the two of you went door to door through Radion, down Eau Rouge Radion. It was unbelievable. But later on in the race, it looked like the Ferrari was quick in a straight line. Did it end up giving you that confidence going down Kimmel, knowing that, listen, even if he's close, I've got the ponies here?
Look, it's a bit of a weird one, because when we started, I initially couldn't build a gap. And I think I had a marginal edge on the straight line, but he was always in the slipstream, so that edge was nullified. So we kept fighting into Lacombe every single lap, and I would just park the car in the middle and force him outside, and I'll just keep the line. And after the pit stop, I don't know if he had a bad pit stop or something, I had an exceptional pit stop, and I came out with a 5-second lead.
JC, but that's what I mean. Even with him being in the slipstream, he should blitz you down Kimmel. So it's incredible. With the slipstream, he was there keeping you honest, but he wasn't able to really put his car in a position where you had to take an alternative line. So it was actually perfect because you could seal him off. But yeah, you went in with about a 2-second lead because he started falling off just before pit stop. But you smoked it because you literally came out, and that must be cool. When you see him pit, you know all you've got to do, my time to pit, and the race is mine. It was brilliant to see. Well done, man.
Jason, I've got a question for you. Tell me, Marius and I were discussing this, and I love to talk to my co-commentator about something and then find out what actually happened. And those moments at the top of the hill there where he was pressurizing you, what was going through your mind then?
Only thing going through my mind is I have to have the ideal line. So I close off the inside line as soon as he moves outside. He's not allowed to move again, and I just squeeze him.
Yeah,
that's all I have to do. I just have to defend my line.
Sure.
So like you said, the Ferrari had the horses, and that's the only way to defend.
Sure.
So, but yeah, once again, hats off to Arno. I don't know if you guys had an interview with him, but exceptional drive from him. I think if there were instances the cars were basically touching.
I saw. You guys touched a few times going into the right-hander. And I mean, it wasn't the kind of touch where anybody would get damaged or there were any issues or anything.
No, it's racing.
That's
bloody racing. That's what we come to see. And JC, we were so stoked at the last round because the guys really do show proper racecraft now. You leave each other enough space. There's nothing stupid. And thanks for putting on a show like that, because you and Arno were amazing with that. We had it further down the field with Daniel and Brian as well. So, but be proud because it's a massive race weekend for you, and great racecraft, consistent pace as well. So spray some champagne. Great to have Ferrari winning Pro-Am and Pros in the ATK Pro Series. Amazing stuff.
Yeah, guys, thank you for putting on a great show, and well done to Bruno as well for a brilliant drive. I know these cars aren't easy around this track, and you're on edge permanently. So well done to all the podium finishers and everybody who finished for that matter.
Cool, well done.
It's amazing, Marius, that even looking from the outside, it looks like everything was going smoothly. But in the car, I mean, as he said, there were moments, and I mean, he kept it together for all of those moments. A fantastic performance from Jason. And if we look at the points here, we can see based on how the structure of the championship runs, there's not that many points difference between first and even 20th position Noor Hendricks over there. There's only 27 points difference between 20th position and first. So you've got the situation where even if, like Jason Abschmeyer, best case scenario for our ballast holders, gets 10th position, he's still in the fight. It's about getting that 10th position and staying in the fight, isn't it?
Yeah, look, that for me is what is crucial. You've just got to get points when you know things aren't going your way. Like you've had a great round 2, round 3, you know you're going to be a heavy pig. Get as many points as you can. And we saw it happen to Jordan. It's very easy to get caught up in the race battle mid-pack. So maybe have some clever strategy to get yourself out of that. But really, we look at the combined points. It's incredible, and this is what we want, because the guys are now knowing, okay, I'm going to be quick again at round 4. You know what I mean? So we're going to see a completely new lineup of guys when we get into round 3 again, and it's going to end up being such a cracker final race 6 when we get to it at Kyalami.
Yeah, I think it's going to be exciting because also we're not quite sure what's going to happen. You're going to have a new bunch of guys that are not running ballast, and I'm not talking about the usual suspects that are going to be basically let out of their cages and now being able to run as fast as they can.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the guys that we haven't really noticed, and some of the guys like Arno Versaghi, JC Grobler, that have been right near the top but not in first and second position certainly, and then they are going to be contenders now. So the drivers did fantastically well, and notice that our man in the pit lane, our technical advisor and pace car driver, Jonathan Benz, he sat in the car all day doing nothing. He just sat in the car watching.
That's how we like it. We don't want to have what happened at the Formula E in Rome, where it's safety car dominated. We want to go racing. Let's have a look at our combined championship positions now. So have a look at how that has mixed things up. So JC Krobler is leading. So I actually messed that up completely because he obviously he would have had a good round one. And he's now obviously scored maximum points here. But have a look at Daniel Rose, I think a 6th and a 7th. So he's sitting right up there. Wow. Morgan, well done. So the highest of our ballast runners from round one. Him and Jason sitting on tie, 175. Jordan, not bad, 174. Junior kind of losing out there on 174 as well. But my goodness, it's mixed things up big time because we now know Jordan, Junior, Jason, Morgan are going to be right at the front of the field in round 3.
Look at that, from 190 points all the way down to 172. That's only, here's my maths again, 18 points difference, and that's the top 10. Yeah. So this is very exciting stuff. JC Krobler has separated himself from the pack, and from number 2 till number 10 is less than 10 points. So, that is just exactly what you want to see from a championship, a motorsport championship, where you've got so many names in it, anybody can take it, and it's all the right ingredients that's going to bake the perfect cake.
I'm happy. This is going to be a cracker championship because I'm telling you now, I didn't expect to see that clear air at the top. So you kind of forget JC would have been kind of top 10. I think he finished 9th, if I remember correctly. So scoring maximum points there. We have a look all the way down with our Pro-Am results, guys, as well. Now remember, we didn't obviously get to see how qualifying went in Pro-Ams. We saw our qualifying in Pros, so we know there's going to be people moving down from Pros to Pro-Ams and Pro-Ams moving up to Pros. So it keeps ever changing, ever evolving. You want to make sure you keep in the Pro division, you keep scoring points if you want a chance at winning the ATK Pro Series for this year.
I've got the results for first, second, third. Jason Gray got first in Ferrari, as we know. Craig Eco got second. And unfortunately, Wesley Hampson, who was in third, crashed out just minutes before and handed the race to Heinrich de Wet for third position. So that's what your top 3 looked like in the Pro-Am category. But what we're talking about now is, again, JC Krobler, who has got a 9-point lead. A 9-point lead JC Krobler has. That guy should be popping more than champagne tonight, that's for sure.
But look, he's going to be thinking now round 3, right? So now for the first time, we're going to see him run with ballast. So what he's done there, and that is what Daniel was saying to me, you want to finish outside of the ballast. Like if you work that out, if you finish sixth every race, you could end up winning the bloody thing. And I think that is what Daniel Rowe is trying to do here, because we've seen what's happened with JC. He's had 2 races now without ballast. Race 1, no one had ballast. But now his 3rd race, he's going to be carrying a lot of weight. Daniel Rowe, getting to round 3, is going to be carrying no weight again. So I think this might be a clever strategy on his part to consistently put yourself in that position. And then when it comes down to the end, you have a full go at it.
But that's what motorsport is. Motorsport is about bending the rules but not breaking them.
Yeah.
So you look at the rule set that you get given, and within that rule set, figure out how you're going to win. Yeah. That's what winners do. And Daniel Rowe is no stranger to winning, I'm sure. So he's looking at this going, these are the rules and this is how I win at. And every driver does that, but some drivers do it better than others. And this is chess, not checkers.
Yeah.
This is strategy on the next level, and I think a lot of the drivers are doing that. But Marius, we're gonna have to finish up soon. Any final thoughts from you on what has been a fantastic second round of the ATK Pro Series powered by Mercedes-Benz?
Can we not go racing next weekend? And it's listen and look at the track, Alton Park. We've added in a couple of new venues. We've got 2 British circuits that are very, very tricky, and we know it's a tighter circuit. The guys are talking about how the weight's going to affect. There's big undulation changes here as well, a lot of off-camber corners, so it's going to be a cracker round around 3. But before I go, I will say well done to our drivers today. Again, fantastic. Our incident report tomorrow is going to be a very simple one. I'd rather just applaud fantastic racing. But obviously, besides the incident report tomorrow, Ernest, we're also going racing with the next round of the GT Sports Series. So I'm looking forward to that as well. It's going to be another busy Monday night, but a fun one.
Yeah, Alton Park, of course, going to be providing plenty thrills and spills on the 16th of May. Folks, join us then for the next round of the ATK Pro Series and see how this game of tactical chess unfolds on the circuit. My name is Ernest Page, joined by Marius Roberts for the ATK Pro Series, powered by Mercedes-Benz. We'll see you guys next time.
I've seen